Oh, hello, world. I missed my own theme song there. I didn't have myself live. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the $1,000,000 Mailbox, episode number 27, uh, with special guest host, return special guest host, Eliot R Brown. Of course, I got Larry here and I got Eliot here. We're going to talk about a little bit more, get a couple more maybe stories out of old bullpen stories out of ERB. And ideally, look at some great comics, give you some feedback. Now, last time I said Eliot was like our Simon Cowell of this show, and it only occurred to me later that one, I don't like American Idol. I hate Simon Cowell. None of that fits. What, of course, came to me later is that if this show is Shark Tank, he is our Mr. Wonderful, and in fact, he's not Mr. Wonderful, he's Mr. Technical. So like the segue, the fit is so good for that. I'm happy to welcome him back. Before I bring both those folks in, I just want to remind you that if you want to see your comics on this show, there's one place to send them, to the $1,000,000 Mailbox, P.O. Box 1163, Arcata, California, 95518. You send them here. I will put them on the $1,000,000 Comics Cam, the world famous at this point $1,000,000 Comics Cam. We've been seen all over the world. We've exposed dozens and dozens of indie creators to literally several dozen other people being able to see them. So it's amazing. We're a force multiplier like you've never seen for your Kickstarter campaigns and your self-publishing ventures. So send those into the $1,000,000 Mailbox today. And now I want to bring in my regular co-host who we've talked to many times before. Let's bring him in, a publisher in his own right, also known as Captain Fun. Let's bring in Larry Young. Hey, Larry.
Dantron, I'm pretty psyched for today, man. A second part 2 with Eliot Brown.
How exciting, right?
That is amazing. That's amazing. I'm a little disturbed sometimes. You call him ERB because I'm a giant John Carter fan from like way back. So that's Edgar Rice Burroughs to me.
Oh, okay.
But I can get over it really quick because our ERB is presently alive and will talk to us in a jocular and entertaining way.
Absolutely.
And Edgar Rice Burroughs invented Tarzan, sure, but he's still dead, right? Not a good guest.
Yeah.
So
John Carter, Tankaroo at the box office.
That was nobody's fault though. Have you ever read Gods of Mars, the Gods of Hollywood? John Carter and the Gods of Hollywood. They started a book about how it was circling the drain before the movie even came out. And it came out, the book itself was in bookstores 7 months after they wrote down the $250 million, 11 days after it came out. None of that had anything to do with the actual movie itself. That was all the outgoing guy, the incoming guy tanking the outgoing guy's shit, and Andrew Stanton, the writer and director, just getting it up the ass because it was his turn, right? It's like, oh, thank you for doing all these $1 billion Pixar movies. Oh, you're going to try to do an incredible, $250 million movie about a book that was written in 1919 and every cool thing in it had already been ripped off.
Yeah.
Like every scene is that's in Return of the Jedi. Oh, that's in John. Oh, that, So that movie just had no chance, but it's brilliant.
Even though I heard it was a great movie, I still never saw it. Like
dude, that movie is crazy good. It's crazy good.
And
if it came out on streaming right now, they'd be like, okay, this is a 4-season thing like Stranger Things.
Okay.
Right.
Speaking of crazy good, Larry, we got a crazy good guest sitting in the green room. So let's bring in Eliot R Brown, and then we'll chat about it with him. I know he's got tons of stories, and I'll bet you I don't know this for a fact, but I'll bet you he has strong opinions about Edgar Rice Burroughs and John Carter. Let's bring him in to find out. Let's see. Hey, Eliot, welcome back.
Your green room bagels suck. I just want to let you know. I want little rubber guys that look like, whoopee cushions. Okay, listen. So, dumb story. When I was a kid, I wanted to invent my own colophon, a symbol of my initials. And I did the exact same EB that Edgar Rice Burroughs did, two half circles and all the business in the middle. And when I figured that out, I said, "Oh man, I can't do that." So I had to come up with something else. So I just figured out, my signature is good enough; it'll have to do. That's what I did. Okay, hi guys, nice to be back. I really had a good time last time. So good, I'm here. What is this? A week later? I haven't even showered since then. I'm so excited.
Well, let me just tell you, Eliot, the internet is abuzz with your honest and straightforward criticism of comics. Now, some people in a parallel universe would think like, what is this? Who is this? Like what? But your ability to cut right to the
old lunatic,
your ability to cut right to the nuts and bolts of the flow of the panels without even having read the comics. Like you picked out really legitimate structural criticisms that I think were completely legit to point out. And we want to see more.
I hope so. I hope so. Okay, here's my something I say to a lot of people. I don't read a comic book like everybody else reads comic books. I came through. I worked for Tom DeFalco. I worked for Louise Jones. It's not like we read shoulder to shoulder, but learning from those two guys, comic books in a completely different way. Even working with Shooter. And when I read a comic book, I read different things than anybody else. No, okay, not anybody else, but probably other professionals as well. And we to a large degree, it takes a lot to get me out of professional reading mode. And the last thing that happened was, of all people, Alan Moore's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I thought that was one of the finest of ideas and talent. And I point that out as the last group comic, and it's a shame it turned into a weird movie. Not a bad movie. Try to divorce yourself from the comic book, and anybody who happens to be listening to this who thinks, "Wow, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, that was okay." I should find the comic books, not the collected version.
Agreed, Eliot.
The comics had extra material that seemed to be edited out. Really funny, really good stuff. Yeah, so there, totally. Hi guys.
I love that movie.
Rest in peace, Kevin O'Neill. Now, Larry,
not a bad movie.
Larry liked the movie. It drove Sean Connery out of show business. So, like,
and the director's never done another.
It was coincidence. It was. I don't blame him.
It wasn't a coincidence.
Shot 007 in the eye. Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Speaking of business, though, in the industry. I think it's time that we take a dip. I want to hear more from Eliot, but I want to hear from him somewhere else. So I want to take a dip. We're going to head into a secret spot. Into the back rooms, into the $1 Million Comics Camp.
God.
Okay. So what do we got here, Eliot? We've got something iconic and Eliot R Brown related. And I've got Eliot R Brown here on tap. So we're going to talk about Ant-Man. Let me pop a Pym particle and we will discuss this in depth the way I've wanted to since I was a stupid little kid. All right. So like, just to tell us where this came from, like why, like, tell me your thoughts and your choices on this, Eliot.
I'm a big fan of the original Man when it was certainly when it was drawn by Herb Trimpe. I didn't quite know creators and such, but Herb, I don't know if you whatever, but this did it for me. So when it was time to stick it into the Marvel universe, the handbook did everything as real as it could be. There's even things in here which have to be things. I was still finding my way. I don't, the thing is, don't the legend arrows, and I did. I was sleepy, But this
Elliot, I want
is
to
what
stop you.
I
I'm
used
sorry,
to
I'm going to
think
stop you for just a second here because
an
your audio is
Ant-Man
breaking up.
would need.
Your audio is breaking up really, really badly. I can't. We're not getting half of what you have to say.
Why would that
Kid,
be?
do me a favor. Try this on the bottom there on StreamYard.
Yep.
Turn off your camera for just a second, and I think that might improve your bandwidth when you're talking with us. If you don't mind, I want to see your smiling mug, but
Okay, I got a cam.
okay, so
You think that so? Okay, if this bails out, you go look for me.
Okay, go ahead, try.
How's that?
Yes, great.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Start cam. It turned into a start cam. Okay. Okay, because I have a great internet connection. I don't understand. Okay.
Well, we'll turn it back on in a
hoggy.
second. Let's just try it for a second. It might just be temporary.
So, yeah, sure. No, I kind of like this anonymous robot look here. This is good. So yeah, I tried my best to stick everything in this one and try to make sense out of it. Ant engrams up atop there. Ant engrams. That's rather brazen of me. Presumably, so studied ants while he was busy, working his home brewed cyclotron to come up with the Pym particle. Okay, let me talk about the Pym particle, which isn't necessarily addressed here, but so I saw the guy. Engram is a fancy a Ron Hubbard word for mental patterns. So if they're thinking, that's what they're thinking with. And the idea of reading your mind to transmit to an ant's mind, that blew my little kid's brain when I was a kid. So this was fun to pretend it could really happen. Anyway, so I'm sitting. The guys are showing me. We're writing Ant-Man, and the guys are showing me stuff. There's the research guys, Peter Sanderson, and who else was in there? Well, Mark and Mike did a lot of the early research before we needed more people, and they're showing me this stuff, and I'm looking. Ant-Man he's an inch tall, and he's jumping 50 feet in the air because, of course, as we know, ants have the proportional strength of a 40-year-old man. I don't know what ants have the proportional strength of, but the square cube law means nothing to ants. Anyway, he's punching somebody, and instead of his fist right into the flesh and him hanging there, no, the guy gets punched and he falls down. Now that's weird. So this was the good old days, and I said, okay, comic book storytelling, and I'm trying to be patient, but I have to work with what I'm shown. That's the thing. I can't just say, well, we don't do it this way anymore, because the minute I say that, that's exactly what people want to do. So that's when I said, it's not a gas. The gas can't work from the belt to his brain quickly enough. It's got to be something else. It's got to be a subatomic particle of some sort. Something different that we're not used to. And even they had the little wiggle lines of canisters on his belt. I said, well, that doesn't look like gas to me. That looks like something else. Because the guys who penciled this knew stupid. So that's how I came up with the Pym particle. Dr. Henry Pym discovered a particle that would affect your mass. And in fact, that's what the Higgs boson that you may have heard about in the news about a year ago, where they discovered this particle that weakly interacts with regular matter, and it provides what we see as inertia, which nobody could figure out. Inertia was a property of matter, and this explains the mechanism behind that property of matter. So I think it's very interesting. I don't think I predicted the Higgs boson particle, but I do think I saw the from whole cloth, because Jim Shooter was staring at me, particle. That's it.
What I really appreciate.
I said, no, it's a particle. It's an electromagnetic phenomenon.
What I love about this is, and why don't you try your camera back on again? Let's give it a shot.
No,
Uh, the what I love about it is the thinking about lenses.
I'll speak slowly.
It's something I had never thought of before. When you're at that small size, you're going to need different types of lenses just to be able to see the world. Like you wouldn't be able to just see it automatically. So I love that kind of thinking put into it. I love the layers with the and the padding. The idea that you're thought about and diagrammed the padding, even and in Iron Man's armor, by the way, is just something that, of course, it has to have padding, but I don't think anybody ever drew it with padding before. You know what I mean? So it's those kind of little details that mark this as an Eliot R. Brown iconic masterpiece, I'll say.
Well, this is just an example of when I was a boy, fan, why my vocabulary is so good and why I enjoy writing, because I would look at one of these things that Eliot did, and I'd look at like anagram and conventional radio antennas. And I'm like, okay, conventional antenna, that's great. He's talking to the Avengers. But the anagrams, I'm like, well, let's look this up. And we had the Funkin' Wagnalls, right? And engrams are like biochemical or biophysical changes that make memories, right? So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, that's how he controls the ants, because they've been trained. He's activating the memory. They know, because they don't have brains really. They're fucking ants. Like even when I was 11, right? But I would sit there and learn something, which I remember 40 years later, Eliot, because you wrote some dumb thing making it as real and honest as you could, right? And like every single thing, I would look at that. It's like, oh, high density padding, sure, that's where he's going to be getting impact. But low density padding, he wants to be comfortable. I'd spend like minutes on that. So all of your hard work was really appreciated by one guy, I can confirm.
For sure, man. This is one that, again, that I come back to again and again. But then again,
makes
almost. Okay. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Eliot.
Oh no, I think we were very proud. You know, kids. We were gonna adult language, adult technology term, technological terms, not pull any punches. That makes
I love it. I love the helmet weather seals and the molded Lexi atmosphere sphere. I think your audio again is cutting out quite a bit. Yeah.
Yes. When
So here's what we're gonna do now, guys. I'm gonna pull out Ant-Man's helmet, and we're gonna go back into the $1 Million Comics Cam, already in progress. So let's take a look at today.
Okay.
What we've got in the hopper. I've got 2 books, repeat visitors. Okay. Larry, we've seen both of these guys before, but this is new work for both of them, coming back for the $1 Million Mailbox treatment. Now with more ERB.
I love seeing that Ant-Man helmet in Endgame on the table as they panned by the lab. Do you remember that? I was just like, yeah, there's just a throwaway thing. Remember when the human Jarvis shows up in the 70s? It's that scene, yeah. That was cool.
Love it.
Sorry.
By the way, Eliot, have you had credits, screen credits, any acknowledgments in any of the MCU pictures at all, or?
Team.
Having real lag.
Not that that's okay. You know, we know. I came up with the necessity of the Pym particle as a even, you know, I was very happy at one point I think in the Avengers, the first movie, the Hulk is falling through him in the ground. The Hulk catches him. He rips off his face, and there's look like what somebody was paying attention. That was good enough for me. Like we were talking to each other through time and space.
Elliot, I'm sorry, your audio is breaking up so bad. We're not getting these stories that we want to hear. I'm not hearing it all. It's unfortunately.
I had a heartfelt story.
Try the camera off again, because that really did help. Sorry.
Peerless Loser had a good idea that maybe there's some app or something that's conflicting.
Okay.
That's open.
No.
Okay. So we're gonna look at a couple things today. So we've seen this before.
Wow, I have a.
We're having connectivity issues, guys. This is what happens with a virtual talk show. You know what I mean? These are the things that you deal with. In a real life talk show, it's like you got a guy who won't talk. In this kind of show, it's like the internet is conspiring against us. So I apologize. We're gonna keep getting chimed in.
I'm doing something that may cut me out, so forgive me.
Okay, rejoin if you do get disconnected. And I'll just start by talking about our two return cartoonists today. We're going to be looking at stuff from Brian Payne up in Homer, Alaska. He's the guy who sent us Zinc comics, Larry. Remember the big
I totally remember, yeah. Brian and I are pals on Facebook now because of that. So
yeah, totally.
He's always got super interesting stuff to say about issues of the day. So there's one thing. We're making friends here on the $1 Million Mailbox.
I feel like generationally, he is like right maybe smack in between me and you, age-wise, because influence-wise. Okay, Elliot, how about now?
Sorry about that. Whatever I did, it didn't work. I'm gonna stop the camera and just talk.
Seems okay so far, so we'll give it a shot.
Okay.
Let's look at somebody in the comments just goes, this is what like submitting to Marvel is actually like. Just like maybe you hear every third word they say. And it seems like it's an awesome critique you could learn something from, but like you can't understand.
Thank you. We're simulating.
That was hilarious.
We looked at Brian Payne from Homer, Alaska's work from Zinc Comics before. He sent us in. He did some really cool experimental stuff in like giant newspaper tabloid size. That was really fun. He's doing stuff in like comic strip as well as full-length format. And then we're also going to look at the Transmigratory Adventures of Philip K. in the Land of the In-Betweeners, issue number 2. We reviewed issue number 1, but he sent me the new remastered offset print version of number 1. That does look way better, by the way, Sam. And we'll look at issue number 2 as well. Guys, I'm going to leave it to our guest, ERB. Which one would you like to start with today? Number 1 or number 2?
Do Brian's, man.
Number 1 or number 2?
Test.
Elliot, we hear you, buddy.
I think okay. I missed all the setup. I'm so sorry.
Okay, we're going to start with
frozen,
number
so
2.
I don't know what I've done. I shut everything else off.
I think it's bandwidth related.
I've got Illustrator open. That's it.
I would reboot the router maybe next time, but we're okay. We're going to give this a shot.
No, I can see from my little sheet. Okay.
All right. So we're going to take a look at
what be happening is my has 50 ad spies on it, and they're all on at the same time.
Uh-huh.
There. How's that?
Okay, we're going to look at, I think this is pronounced DI2.
Okay.
And it's a mini comic, full color, kind of fanzine, kind of a love letter to Image Comics, a bunch of different Image Comics, and indie comics, not just Image Comics, as we'll see in just a second. Wait a minute. Let me zoom this thing in. Yeah. Oh, that's so much better. Okay. So we'll take a look here at DI2, or is it D12? Hard for me to tell. That's going to be I'm going to pre-guess Eliot's criticism on this logo, maybe. Okay.
Well, the first thing is panel border violations. And especially when they bleed right off the page, right off the sheet of paper. So that's no good.
Okay. The first one opens, it's sort of like a house ad here. A little Savage Dragon.
I'm trying to shut down Illustrator system, Hog.
Little Savage Dragon homage. But really the center of this book and the one I love the most. And
that's a house ad?
It's kind of an imitation house ad, kind of, yeah.
Oh, the Savage Sword of Kerr. Okay, listen. Aside from not filling in the middle of the R's, he's doing a fine imitation of Savage Sword of Kerr. Yeah.
All right, when we start off with this is my favorite story, is the one up front.
Guy can draw.
Absolutely. This is Spawn meets Cerebus, and it's basically an explanation of sort of the history, a little brief, condensed history of creator rights, talking about how back in the battle days, the writers would sign, they'd like print a contract on the back of their check that to endorse the check, you had to like sign away your rights forever for stuff. Talks about that a little bit.
That was the voucher. The voucher was the voucher was had each one forever. You did one page at a time. You were signing that contract over and over again.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
When they went to digital, yeah, I mean, Marvel was so afraid of the whole Kirby thing where they were going to get sued over everything but Captain America because Kirby had that cornered. They wanted to make sure that we all knew we were under their thumb forever. Which is true. I mean, yes, we knew that. I mean, we supposedly knew it. We believed it.
I think some people were.
Interesting stuff. If you guys can hear me, I can't tell.
Yeah, we can.
What's going on?
We hear you great.
Okay. Nowadays, if you want to pitch an idea to Marvel, great. If you want to pitch an idea to Marvel, they submission form, and the submission form pretty much tells you that it's likely we have a lot of characters, we have a lot of people on staff who know these characters. We could have come up with what you did, so don't be surprised if we do your story as you put in a submission, because it's all our stuff and not yours, pretty much. Which
makes sense.
Again, is absolutely fair. I got it. And which is I wish we had something like that. Editors and assistants didn't want to have anything to do with submissions because. Keep going. True.
No, there's definitely an audio lag that we're experiencing.
Okay.
But what I was saying is it was probably true. I'm just going to keep going to talk through the lag. Here we go. And what is probably true is that most of those submissions were extremely derivative and stuff that you would have or had come up with or whatever, and only a small percentage of it probably was not. Well, I really know how to kill an interview.
It's the technology, man. It's not your fault. It's not Eliot's fault. It's nobody's fault.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I shut off. I should probably reboot this stupid thing.
I think in particular, this book, what I love about it is it calls out a couple of things. It calls out that both Spawn and Cerebus made it to 300 issues. But it points out that Spawn deserves an asterisk, much like Mark McGuire's ball, much like Mark McGuire's record, which is just like you have to know that Todd McFarlane bought Mark McGuire's home run balls, the asterisk balls, for this to make sense. And there's just such a small percentage of people that know all those things, but those that do. That's who this was made for. And I thank you, Brian. Thank you. So it gives Spawn the asterisk on 300 and crowns Dave Sim.
If you print it in a way that fights. If you present it in a way to follow the thoughts or the acting, then it's compromised. Who is this making fun of?
So this is
Omega.
Yeah, here's the thing. These guys, the rest of the this is Image stuff. Although to me, this is obviously Jack Kirby, and this to me looks like Gene Simmons, if nothing else. Like really, really, that's who I see when I look at this. But a lot of this stuff is like very fan inside joke stuff about these Image characters, who I'll be honest are not my favorite characters.
There. Look at that. Yeah, anyway. Inside joke. Here's an outside joke where she's wrapping her arms around the panel borders. That's not funny.
I love that. She's pole dancing, Eliot. She's pole dancing. I didn't even notice it till just now, and I like the idea.
Yeah.
Tex Avery.
Sure. I'm glad you like it, Dan. Good.
Yikes.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with
that. That is.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with figures going across the borders, but putting the word balloons across the borders, that's a giant no-no. Because borders are there to arrest your attention for a moment.
Oh, that's where you draw the line?
Everybody's got a line somewhere, right? The illustrator is trying something, so I will always. It's like
what I said. No, don't get those when doing.
Oh, this is the worst. It's like I said, says Eliot Brown, and then
at the expense
nothing.
of a reader.
Yeah.
And that central balloon dripping down, that just means he didn't design the page right. He should have moved the head over. He should have shrunk the head. He needed more room. Stuck the balloons up at the top. He's a jack of an oval. That's a waste of space. He could have made that work.
I'm going to stick up for Brian
in one panel. And the Tex Avery call out of the city.
Sorry.
That's from City Wolf and Country Wolf from Tex Avery.
Well, I love it.
In Blair,
I'm gonna stick up for Brian here too.
We have a pole dancer.
I'm gonna stick up for Brian here on the choice of overlapping with the word balloon, because I think it's to indicate the panel flow. I think it's a clever use of it. I've never seen an overlap this way before, ever done. So I'm going to give you credit. I'm giving him credit for that. I really like it. I recognize it's unconventional and it's outside of.
Maybe there's a good reason it's never been done.
Jeez.
There could be. Okay. So this book has a lot of inside Image references. One of my favorite, though, pages is this last page. And this just shows me a lot about where Brian's head is or was. And all of these things, like playing into the imagination of what
that's kind of sweet.
Makes his books cool. Like, I really like just the composition. I like everything about that last page. And I love the Alan Moore references as well in here. I want you guys to reach out to look at this.
And it's clear from the preview.
Sorry, go ahead.
So what's interesting is he can draw, but he's got no self-restraint.
Okay, guys, I'm going to put in some other comments from the Peanut Gallery. I apologize. I apologize for the audio lag here. It's making it a little difficult, but thank you guys for sticking in there with me. We'll get through this for sure.
I love Dr. Ben is like, I wish Brian had gotten more ham with the Tex Avery guy. And I have a 15-year-old and just learned about ham as a slang. And man, I abuse that all the time. Going ham is like the best news slang of all time.
Hard as a motherfucker.
That's right. But they chose ham. I just think that's amazing because I used to say that Dave Letterman thing all the time, that hail the size of canned hams.
Funny.
You know, that's what he got fired for his weatherman job from in Indianapolis. He tells all the kids, hail is coming down the size of canned hams. And that was the line. They were like, yeah, we can't have you doing the weather anymore, pal. Indianapolis can't deal with it. So ham is a comedy word for me.
Okay, well, so Miles North is a nice little mini comic. That's funny.
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's one panel per page with a caption underneath it. It tells the story of underground cartoonist Miles North, who made it big in the 80s boom, but by the 90s it sort of petered out and moved up to Alaska. And it's a fun character piece, really well drawn. Brian is a really good artist.
A little slice of life too, right? Isn't that what happened to him?
He
moved up to Alaska after a tumultuous life here in the lower 48.
I think so. and the story is just cleverly told. There's a Torchy McQueen, the comic journalist, who's sort of telling his story.
Oh, this is great. Torchy McQueen.
Yeah, and he had a story called, what do you call it? Tea and Marijuana Bibles. So just that, like, man, he had such great references that are just right in my wheelhouse. Brian Payne, I feel like you exist solely for my amusement, and I'm thankful for it.
I'm trying to figure out if that McQueen character is supposed to be Trina Robbins or Cat Ironwood, or that's just kind of there was a whole like segment of folks back then that could fit.
It sounds like yes.
Yeah, it could be anybody, right? Yeah.
But I think it's actually the model's actually maybe based on his wife.
You think I'm rough? Yeah.
So check it out. There's no doubt Brian can draw, dude. He can draw.
Yeah, it's excellent.
And the stuff is fun to read. It's engaging. This is a fun little comic.
Too much realism.
Well, he's on drugs at this point, so it's supposed to be very surreal and like very.
Yeah, I like that page before where he's like sort of his face collapsed into that mirror thing you can do. That was very druggy.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, that one. That's what I was thinking of.
This one, and then this one as it splits apart.
Mm-hmm.
So very good stuff, surreal and fun, slice of life, yet with kind of weirdo bent. Not like his Zinc comic superhero theme. This is more like
this sort of thing transcends regular comic analysis.
Agreed. It's transcendent.
It's more like
that's your pull quote.
It's a super Tijuana says it's not a regular comic book. It's a story told with images.
Shit. I agree. Put that on the cover, man. Transcends regular comics criticism.
It's different. Right. It's not. Yeah.
And you're right. I didn't even catch that it's a Tijuana.
Okay,
Bible.
the strength.
I didn't. Yeah.
The strength of comics as we know it, what sets it apart from all other literature, is that it gives us both emotions and images. We can read the emotions. We can hear what the character is feeling, which is that's a novel. But we're also seeing a picture. If he's feeling afraid and there's a dinosaur, we can show the dinosaur, not just describe it. So, comic, which entertainment, in my opinion, which comic books generally are, and you can do anything. You can do whatever you want. We're just lucky this guy can really draw, because that just makes the images easier to take in. Better acting, better composition. You have to read the words to make full sense. So
Agreed. We love it. So we love Brian Payne. We love Zinc Comics. Make sure to check out zinccomics.com, at Zinc Comics on Twitter. If Twitter does it still exist? I didn't check what time. I didn't check this morning.
That's still a thing.
What time is it?
I hate to be the Schadenfreude guy about big tech melting down, but we're seeing it happen before our eyes right now as all these big companies are laying off, shedding employees by the tens.
Isn't that great, though? All those tech guys are like, hey, Twitter's collapsing. Let's fire our 1,000 guys, and no one's going to, utter a word because they're still taking shots at Elon. Like, oh, my God. Oh, yeah. If you're into tech, man, everybody's...
You know what? You're forgetting these are people. This is the new. These are. Just give them a break. Calm down. Come on. They got to go back to their paper route or back to their mom. And, come on. This is tough.
Agreed. I think they're going to get through. They'll muddle through.
Have a little compassion. Look, I'm for the underdog. I'm a comic professional, for Christ's sake.
Uh-oh. You guys still hear me, right? I just knocked out my own camera.
I can hear you.
No, I'm still.
Here we go.
Yeah, I figured I'd tune back in. I figured I'd show my face again.
Let's dip back in to
the
Transmigratory Adventures of Philip K. It's been a while since we saw number 1. Let's look at it in newly resplendent offset printing. Glory.
Wasn't this black and white the last time we saw it?
I thought it was too, Larry. I thought it was for sure.
So,
and by the way,
this is a dick book.
It's a what book? I missed that.
Yeah, me too.
A Philip K. Dick book.
He had never heard of Philip K. Dick. He didn't know that name when he came up with the name.
Maybe Philip K. Dick was broadcasting his name from Radio Free Albemuth and put it into his own head. Here, take the same drugs I took.
Story.
Well, so
this is a little too close.
So this is the story of our hero, and he's dead. Okay, so he's exploring the afterlife. Right in the beginning, he's dumped in the afterlife. He has a flashback of him remembering himself dying and having his out-of-body experience and becoming one with the universe. And yes, Larry, I believe it was black and white before, but if not, I'm way misremembering because the coloring adds so much to this book. It's amazing how much.
That's exactly what I was thinking. If it wasn't black and white, this new format is really doing his art a favor. This looks a lot better than my memory of the last time we looked at stuff.
Absolutely. His coloring, he's doing a lot of modeling of form with the coloring that adds a three-dimensionality to these guys that otherwise would be completely flat in black and white. Obviously, a lot of computer assisted or enhanced.
But that's the job of a bluffer.
At least we got a guy that's doing bleeding off the page correctly.
I think this stuff is great, straightforward storytelling that really flows and gives a sense of space.
See, there you go. Nice trimming on that next page. So he's extending past the border to make Eliot mad, but then this is technically correct. So that's cool. It's not like that last.
Got a full bleed.
The last book, we had a guy who was trying to do bleed and was still in the safe area of the trim. So that's not good. So at least this is technically proficient.
I think it's cool. You got to remember, guys, all these guys that send in stuff, most of these in this group are heavy image adherents. So when it comes to coming off the page and coming out of the panel, that was like de rigueur in the image era. It was like taken to the extreme, if you will, by Extreme Studios and whatever. So it definitely plays a part in their thinking and in composition. I don't think it's wrong. I just think it's of a particular era and influence.
Yeah. What's the name of that Peerless Loser guy? I keep forgetting his name.
Yes, you
That's
can.
Sam.
You
That's
can
the artist. That's Sam.
Oh, that's Sam.
use it.
His thing about the printer screwing up the trim on issue 2 is like, dude, I'm not blaming everybody. I was just pointing out, like, every single book we did, there was at least one thing wrong, and it drove me insane. We had 8 sets of eyes looking at every book, and you just can't catch everything. So, and that's not to mention, oh my God, can I tell you real fast? We did Johnny Dynamite with Max Allan Collins and Terry Beattie. And for some goddamn reason, this was the old days when they shot stats still to make the film. For some fucking reason, our Quebecor reduced it a correct size on the horizontal, but did a 3% difference on the vertical. So there was nothing round, and it was only 3%. So normal people couldn't tell. But Terry Beattie lost his fucking mind, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. This isn't old school New York publishing. Right, I'm just a guy in my house, and I had nothing to do with this. And there's no fucking way that I can just, reprint the whole thing because of that error. And that's so funny. Now I don't talk to Terry Beattie anymore. Oh, because instead of being an understanding guy, he was a complete and utter fucking douchebag to me. So what are you gonna do?
Bummer.
Got that out.
Well, I Sam decided. Those house ads. Yeah, Eliot. Still with us?
I think he is, but now he's just toying with us.
Maybe. There's interesting insertion of sort of like house ads in here.
Is it part of the story, or is he just
system? And there's some easy. That's power. So I'm sorry.
This is like a satire of an.
I know. I'm so bummed, guys. I'm so sad. I'm so sad, Eliot. The audio is just not happening. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the audio is brutal.
We have to get Eliot back again, man.
Yeah.
Guys, I promise you that we'll fix these. We will troubleshoot these audio problems. We'll get to the bottom of this. I'll bet a rebooted.
We did so well the first time. I don't get it.
We'll figure this out. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna go through issue number 2 because this is the new issue, which I agree with Sam J. Royale, who you might remember from last time.
You might remember from his awesome logo slug that Eliot hates.
You might remember the savage logo beating.
Oh yeah,
and I agree.
Oh yeah,
issue number 2
is your logo is like your business card. Come on.
This one to me, it starts reminding me of the guy, the artistic reference that reminded me of the most was Paul Mavrides in those Color Freak Brothers issues, which are my favorite. I love Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers and I love Gilbert Shelton, but man, Mavrides took it to another level with those books, The Freaks Abroad. Okay, now we've entered the realm of the afterlife, and this is where we get into meeting just the craziest characters in this in-between world. So we've got Glykon, who is Alan Moore's god, if you remember, but he's the god of sweetness in this, and his brother is Typhon, the god of destruction. And dude, we get epic psychedelic destruction battles in this comic. I'm really impressed by Sam's drawing in this second issue. It is like a quantum leap stronger than the first issue. And I really enjoyed it.
Well, I do like the use of the circular panels suggesting separate units. Those are nice, if that's what I'm reading.
Thematically, they're very important in the story.
You down.
Yeah. Those are the bubbles of Glycon, his sort of magical bubbles that are breathing his, like, the things that he's thinking and talking about and turning them into reality in this world. So it's definitely the bubbles, and the circular design is super critical to the storyline. And dude, it's ambitious. These layouts, this line work, it's reminiscent of a J. Williams even in some of this stuff. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it a little bit better. It's very interesting stuff to me. And as well as his mixed, like,
he's doing what I call showing no fear. He dives in and draws. If he has to draw it over and over again, I much appreciate that from the dedication. And in this case, it seems like it's working. Although he completely in here, which is another. That's interesting, you know.
I'm sure whatever he's just said was very interesting. I'm positive that it was interesting, but I can't hear it. I'm so bummed about this. But Sam, we love what you're doing here. This stuff is ambitious, to say the least. You are drawing insanely detailed stuff over and over again. Giant monsters and godlike mental images that are just like fun to look at. You know, you go a really long way with the destruction panels, but dude, who doesn't want it? This guy looks almost, it's almost like Gamera, kind of. But I loved it. Typhon and his destruction. We step back from the dreamscape a little bit and see it in these kind of like small panels. It's hard to see here on cam. But dude, your lettering, your word placement, your word
pretty cool.
Placement, especially on these panels where they're kind of borderless and the bubble panels, dude, not easy to pull off and the flow was readable. Like, I read them in the right order. Not easy.
I don't know. Left to right, top to bottom. It's kind of hard to, seems like it's impossible to follow all the time.
The panel layout,
the silent spot.
Yeah, the panels themselves would be difficult, but his word balloon placement is on point to lead you through the story. Not seeing too many of the Eliot R Brown hated out of panel. Not too much to hate in this stuff. And the color,
lots of stuff. Don't worry. It's just, you know, it's hard to see for sure.
I can't take hand lettering anymore unless you're John Workman or Clem Robbins. Like, it's just, you know, I get that these guys, but this lettering is horrible, man. I mean, I'll take your word for it that that you can read it, but there's too many. The thing about lettering balloons is they need to be semi-uniform, because this lettering is just way too distracting. You're starting to, I mean, I almost don't want to talk about the lettering, but I'll just agree with Elliot.
Harry.
I feel like it's from the Todd Klein school, where sometimes you have different font faces for different characters to indicate like a godly intonation of their voice or what have you.
Yeah, but you should do that in the letter, in the writing. You should know who's talking by what they're saying.
Yeah.
And here we've got an ad for Psychonaut Comics, another favorite, guy we've looked at here on the $1 Million Mailbox. There's just this web of dudes out there and gals or whoever. I think they're dudes.
Of course they're dudes.
I think you're all dudes, but whatever. These are the kind of dudes that would welcome a gal or anybody who's in the comics. It's not that kind of group. And we get a little 2-page strip that gives us a lead into next time to our character, Big Fish. I love this drawing, this Elvis-inspired fish. I have one bit of technical Like there's a lot of stuff like this. These ads. Like I feel like, and Sam, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this ad was put here so that you had a break, so that you would have a page turn reveal here, and that's okay. That's thoughtful design, but I just feel some of the ads. There was another part in this same book where it really pulled me out. Yeah, here, this was the one. This was my biggest quibble. So we got to this page early on, and then it goes to a house ad for See You in Issue 3. And this made me feel like I was done with the book. And I was pleasantly surprised to turn it over. Oh, and there's a double page spread, of course, there. So, like, I would have maybe saved this house ad for the very end.
Don't make the house ad. Don't make the house ad look like part of the story. You're a fool.
I just think it's weird when you got to the end. I didn't notice there was that early house ad because there's 2 house ads. So I thought he was just fixing a pagination problem, right? Where somebody, your 2-page spread there doesn't work because somebody, miscounted. But then there's 2 ads, so you're not. You didn't do anything to throw off the page.
I don't know. I felt like they did the same thing. If the same thing happened twice, kind of scenario. But I also feel like maybe there was an ad swap involved, so maybe it was to fit extra ad pages in. In which case, dude, go for it. Do what you got to do. Like it did take me momentarily out of the story, and it was a little jarring. I think Eliot is quite right that you need extreme distinction between what is a house ad for the same book that you're in and the like. You shouldn't accidentally feel like it's the next page. So I'll give you that. But Sam, dude, come on. Oh, a nice letters page with got a letter from one of the guys who did one of the ads in here. So it's a tight-knit group.
Yeah. No, that's good. There's nothing wrong with that.
Small world. Okay, that's a poorly designed page. Poorly designed page.
Which one? This one?
Gadzooks. So this is a really small world. No, the bad page is the Elvis fish.
Ah, yeah. Oh, okay. Take us deep.
Because what are those 2 people doing there? They're struggling to be seen. I don't know. Sorry.
Well,
it's coming out of a barrel of water. What's going on?
It's coming up from this page. It's coming after this page. Where they're on the outside of the dressing room and they're coming in. The big reveal is to our character, the big fish. And next issue is our exodus to Small Pond. Oops, I didn't show that. So we've got a big fish, small pond joke.
Right.
And I love this.
Well,
I love him. I love this.
Come on.
I want to eat him up.
Body of a fish with the head of. Yeah.
I want to eat him up. I love him. I loved.
No, it's an awkwardly designed. No, an R panel, and it could be. You can pull back a little bit. You can show the people. Room. I don't know what that is. Is it an aquarium or a room?
I think I might have flipped the fish facing the other way, since we're doing a page reveal. I might have viewed him from the reverse angle, and it might have changed the composition somewhat.
Then he's looking out. Like this way, he's looking in.
I might have put him
the opposite page
on the last page. Well, yeah, but this also I would have put him on the letters page.
Yeah. So, but we had to have this page turn reveal, sort of, as that's the gag here. We didn't know who this guy was. So, Sam, Quantum Leap from issue 1 to issue 2. The color brought issue 1 way up in our opinions of the quality. So definitely, if you're going to show it, show the color versions. You did some stuff in there too, where the color would like do wrinkles on his forehead and stuff like that. But did it in a subtle enough way. It felt natural to the page and added 3-dimensionality to the characters. I really liked it.
I'm 100% down with Elvis fish, and I hope that's real hair and not an Elvis toupee, an Elvis wig. But we published a book called Colonia, where the main character was a bunch of fish that walked around like a man.
You published Colonia, huh? You did. That's a book worth talking. That is one of the weirdest fucking books I've ever read.
I agree. Completely anticipated the whole multiverse thing. It's a guy from our world, Eliot, ends up in the present day Massachusetts, except the Spanish never ceded control of America. So that's cool.
It was just a weird premise for a book.
But it's the guy who did Alter Klutz, so come on, there's a lot of weird shit going on.
That was wild. Oh, hey, Peerless Loser, aka Sam Tisonis, says, thanks, Dan. I'm trying to use color to render without doing it, but it's a difficult thing. Getting better at hard cuts, which makes a difference. You are getting better. It looks good. Yeah, Colonia, right? Zinc comment. Like, this is the kind of like me and Brian Payne read, and maybe that's it. Like, I don't.
I just love that. Like, nobody knows what I did 20 years ago, and I'm no Eliot Brown. But whenever I say something, people go, "That was you?" Like, yeah, man.
Totally. Well. Guys, it's been another amazing $1 million mailbox. I'm not going to lie, the audio quality, we got to solve this problem, but we will. I'm on it. Internet, don't you worry. Your pal Dan Shaheen has nothing but endless amounts of time to fuck around with this stuff. And what a fitting tribute! I want to have Eliot like do a plug for the $1 million mailbox, but it's gonna be like what $1 million. So we can't
take the one I did last time.
By the way, which is a big hit. It's going out there. It's bringing in new stuff to the mailbox. I just went in to the mailbox this week and picked up one guy. Okay, last week we looked at the 4-page preview of Riley the Teenage Bigfoot. Well, this dude sent me volume 1 and volume 2, which are 200 pages each. So I have 400 pages of stoner Bigfoot jokes to read.
400 pages. 400 pages.
Which I believe they were strip a day internet strips. So 400 days is a couple years worth of Bigfoot strips, and he's got a style that's reminiscent of, I mentioned Boys Club last time, but it's definitely in maybe the Matt Groening style of cartooning. So I look forward to looking at that. Also, oh my gosh, speaking of gigantic things, I got Mark Darden sent me his Guano Guy and Darkest Image fanzine part 2. It's like a phone book itself. It's several hundred pages of full color Image Comics bootleg, like we love Image Comics.
Man, those friends of Eli are friggin' bananas about how much stuff they produce. It's insane. Friends of Eli, though, sounds like a club you don't want to be a member of.
Friends of old Eli.
Right.
So, Eliot, I'm going to give you one more chance.
I'm concerned when it comes to comic books. Me. What am I supposed to do?
It's like the end of every Police Squad episode.
Okay, here, Eliot, stand by. Wait a minute. If you have anything else to plug, if you want to send the people anywhere, please take a moment.
Oh, no. Same thing. EliotRBrown.com. Look around. You'll find something to entertain you. There's long stuff. There's short stuff. What I think is a sweet tribute to Mark Gruenwald. That's it. And DeFalco, my 3 or 5 part piece on Tom DeFalco is the height of hilarity. And if you know anything about Tom, you will love seeing it. The details are priceless. There. That's all. That's the pitch.
I look forward to that. I find DeFalco delightful. And Dr. Ben, just so you know, yeah, do Ben watch the last episode.
Not if you work for him.
Watch this last episode with Eliot, or any of my long interviews with Eliot, to see his amazing and under-known career. I'm doing my best to pump up the Eliot R Brown bubble till we're at peak ERB, and then I'm going to cash out and do a rug pull on the whole thing and let everybody else
sell an NFT of the audio of Eliot speaking
so.
for this one. You know, I loved Eliot's open letter to Clark Gregg. That's worth going to his website to read.
Okay, open letter to Clark Gregg.
Thank you.
Oh, and I haven't researched.
That's another one of those.
And Dr. Ben, if you haven't seen, he was the submissions editor during the Marvel tryout era of Marvel, and wrote a rejection letter to Jim Lee, which I haven't found yet. I forgot till just this moment that I need to go find it, and we'll bring it and we'll look at it in a future. Because Eliot, you'll come back when we can figure out this audio thing, right?
You know, it was an encouraging letter to Jim. You're not ready, but keep going, kid. I said. The letter's out there. You should probably,
and he did.
Just Google it. You'll get it.
I'll find it. And he did get there, guys. He got hired. He did Alpha Flight, I think might have been his first book. And guys, you can too. But however, you guys out there are too talented
that sounds about right.
to just be pushing yourself to try and get a work for hire job at one of the big two. We're past that era. We're in the era of independent media. It's never been easier to not only to create and produce your work. That was the big challenge. But now it has never been easier to promote that same work as well. So it's that combination of the two that you can work and make something. I don't know, you can make a success story. I believe in you guys. I want to see it.
And dang, I think I did another one of those things. But that's the link there from Comic Book News, is the link to Eliot's rejection letter from Jim Lee.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
From me.
So sorry, it looks like I posted as you again.
All right.
That's not me, man. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll find that thing. I'll bring it to the show and we'll look at it.
Sweet.
And I'm going to criticize the grammar in the rejection letter if I can. I'll look for weak points in that letter.
It's not as good as Eliot remembers it. The last line is resubmit your work when your work is consistent and when you have learned to draw hands. You dick. I don't think that was called for, Eliot.
There you go.
All right, guys. On that note, we got to get out of here. Thank you so much to the great, notorious Eliot R Brown. And thank you, Larry. We'll be back. Okay, next week, I'm going to be back with Dan Didio on Tuesday, the day before the first Frank Miller comics drop in comic stores. He's going to come in here and talk to me. Yes, the thumbnail is suspiciously made to make it look like Frank Miller might be in the interview. He will not be. It's possible. It's not impossible Frank Miller would be there, but he probably won't be there. So thanks for watching this thing.
What you need is a cardboard head on a stick. That's what you need. Nobody will know.
Oh, we can do a lot better than that on this show. Are you kidding me, Eliot? We can do much better than that.
Maybe
you should throw that out, and we'll just say that he has the same audio.
Check your bags, mister.
Has.
Oh, that's perfect, Larry. That's perfect. I'm going to work on that. And guys, I got to get out of here. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you'll come on Tuesday and see Dan Didio. But no matter what, I will see you when? Oh yeah, next time.
That's all, folks.